Hello everybody, Joe Marquez here again to go ahead and share a tool that I think is incredibly important within the classroom. One of the things that becomes really important is to ensure all students can understand what the instructor or teacher is saying. And that's no more evident than when you have students in the classroom who have English as a second language. If you move in to a new place and there's a new language being spoken, there are some thoughts that say, giving them just diving in and getting them to learn English in a classroom just on their own, that can make them learn a little bit faster. But to me, if a student is coming in and they don't speak the language, they need support. Right, and they don't necessarily have an interpreter in the class to be able to do that. And yeah, there's a lot of tools out there that can, they can type their words and then it'll translate over. But we're talking about instant, real-time translation. And I just want to go ahead and share with you a tool that's out there that's 100% free that I think is the best for in-class real-time translation, and this is Microsoft Translator. And I know some of you are like, wait a minute, you always talk about Google tools. I talk about tools that work for students. I don't just talk about Google tools. I talk about tools that have a purpose in the classroom for a need that you want your students to have. And this is a great tool. So I want to showcase for you what this tool is all about. Now, you get there, just go into translator.microsoft.com, which you can see right up here at the top of my screen, and it brings you to this screen. Now, if you are the one starting this conversation, you are the educator, you will have to log in with your account. Now, it can be a Google account, it could be a Microsoft account, but you'll have to log in with whatever ecosystem you are utilizing. And then this is the screen right here that you're going to get. You're going to put in your name, that's the instructor name, and the language that you speak. That's very important. That's what you're going to select right here. Now, where it says, I am using this product in a classroom, you have to be very wary about how you're using this in your classroom. Now, for some reason, when you select, I'm using this in my classroom, it will mute the students the entire time. That means you, the instructor, can talk and type and send things out to the students, but the students are just getting the information. They are not going to be able to ask questions or provide anything else. So I always uncheck that box. Now, this is a big disclaimer. I haven't read any of the privacy or service agreements. So there may very well be a reason that if you're using this in a classroom, they want you to select this. But I'm going to show you when the students log in to this tool, they don't have to really give any information other than their maybe their first name and then language that they speak. They don't have to log in with any account. They don't have to put in their last name. But you still want to make sure that you have your school go over why is this here and should I select it and should I not. But I do want you to be aware. Watch that if I select this and I hit enter, I'm going to go ahead and open up a new chat room right here. And as the instructor, I'm going to go ahead, it gives you the link right here. So as the instructor, it automatically puts you in what's called presenter mode. That means you don't have to hit anything. And when you talk, everything you say is going to be dictated for you. Now, as a student, I'm going to show you by logging in here underneath a incognito tab. So I'm going to go to that room right here. It'll ask you the name. I'm just going to put Super Joe as my name, but your students can put their first name, last initial, whatever you want, and then they select their language down here. I'm going to go ahead and select Spanish. I'm going to click enter. Notice they don't have to log in with any account. They don't have to put any other information other than the name that they want to be put in there by. Now, notice everything that I'm saying now on my screen is being recorded, and when it's being pushed over to the student screen, it's being converted into the language that they chose. That's extremely powerful. But remember, I selected I'm using this in a classroom. So if my student wanted to ask a question in their language or talk to me in their language, I'm locked out as the student from doing that. And as the instructor that you'll see right over here, I cannot unmute them. So they're permanently muted. So if you choose the classroom option, it's going to permanently mute your students. So you have to really decide, do I want my students to be able to ask me questions in their language, or do I just want to be able to push what I'm saying out to my students in their language? So if you want the students to be able to participate and to actually utilize this as a back channel during the conversation, then you just don't want to select I'm using this product in the classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to start a new room. And once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and copy the new code. Now, when you do this, it does not automatically record what you say. For that, you have to click on presenter mode. So you click on presenter mode. Now anything you say will be recorded, or sorry, will be turned into text and then placed right in this screen. And then as the student, let me show you what it looks like on the student end. Once again, I'm just going to keep it as Super Joe. I'm going to keep it as Spanish. I'm going to click enter. Now that I've done this, I'm logged in. And now as the student, they can come in and actually type what they want to say. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm not fluent in Spanish. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off presenter mode. So what I'm saying on this one is not being recorded. But let me show you here if the student had a question. Okay, now don't laugh at my Spanish. So I'm going to click on it. And now I'm going to ask a question. ¿Dónde está el baño? So I ask that question in Espanol, and I come over here, and see, as the instructor, I get their comments in English. I'm going to say something that I also learned in the Spanish class. El queso es muy viejo. Let's see what that goes in. The cheese is very old. So, if Matt Miller, if you're watching this, I know you're laughing. You're laughing yourself off your seat because you're so fluent in Espanol. And my last name is Marquez, so it's very sad on my end. But it's very powerful because this can now change that student. Now, if as the instructor you want to go ahead and mute individual students, now you can mute them, and now they can't go in here and do that. And let me show you what else is on here for you. Underneath the settings, you can actually show the students' original messages in their language. You can play the speech output. So if you wanted to actually click this, then on the student screen, they can click play and listen to the language. So if for the visually impaired, they can actually listen to what you're saying on that. You can mute all students at once and then unmute them, or you can mute individual persons, or if you have some squirrely kids that want to give, they email out the code to this room to kind of get some other kids in. After everybody's logged in, you can lock the conversation so others cannot join. But one of the great powerful things about this is at the end of the lesson or at the end of your day, you can click save transcript, and everything that was talked about can be saved. You can put that in your Google Drive or your Microsoft OneDrive and then share that with students who are not there that day. Another great thing about utilizing this, and by the way, notice that this student here selected Espanol for this class. But if I come in here and let's say that I'm going to go to other Joe, just so that you know that's another one. That's why I love incognito. I'm going to change it from Spanish over here. Let's say German. Enter. So now I'm in this page here. And if I, as the instructor, hello everybody, welcome to the class. I'm so glad that you are here, and I'm excited to see what is going on. It will translate that right over to the student's language. So the great thing about this is if you have multiple languages in your classroom, you as the instructor can speak to that, and it will translate over into all the languages that you want your students to be able to hear. So it's not just for Spanish speakers. It's not just for German speakers. You can have 5 different people in your class speaking multiple languages, but they can all communicate with one another. I think that's fantastic to be able to open up that conversation within the classroom. Another great way that I utilize this is during parent conversations, right? If you want to have a parent-teacher conference and your parent is speaking a different language, getting an interpreter in the district who speaks that particular language language may be a pretty daunting task. You may only have one Hmong speaking interpreter in the entire district, and so you have to really schedule your parent-teacher conferences around that. This can be done anytime. So what I have done is I would put this, I would start this on one of my computers, and I would have another computer in my classroom that I would already have logged into this, and I would let the parent put in their name and then put in the language that they speak, and then we would converse like this. And it really makes that parent-teacher conference more personable, and you can really get to the information you want to get to about the student, because you're not hindered from a language barrier. So I find this extremely important, extremely valuable. And so if you are looking for a tool that not only doubles as a back channel, but doubles as an interpreter in your class or in parent-teacher conferences, or hey, even in the district if you have teachers who speak a second language, this is an incredibly important tool. So if you found this valuable, please let me know. I would love for you to contact me. I'm on the Twitter at JoeMarquez70. Tell me if you used this before in your classroom. Tell me if you're going to start using this in your classroom. And if you do, tell me the powerful impact that it has. I would love to hear. And as always, I am part of the Sons of Technology, and we do have a podcast that we produce every 2 weeks. So that is available on all the podcasters that are out there on Apple, Google, and Spotify, and all those different platforms. And please hit us up on our Twitter as well, at Sons of Tech EDU. We would love to hear how you innovate, how you use these tools for the benefit of students, to really give a voice to the voiceless, to really allow all students to be able to participate within the classroom. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much for being an incredible educator, and thank you so much for changing the lives of the most important people in the world, and that's our students. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.